Hello, and a happy Monday to you all. Okay, so the usual applies. Please, if you could just write me a little note to say, hey, Gigi, it's a rocking Monday and I'm really pleased to see you. Well, you don't obviously have to say that. You could say something much more middle of the road. Hi, Gigi, would be fine. But yeah, just let me know that you can hear me so I know that everything's gone live properly. That would be awesome. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Amazon interview with Dungeon. I always think that this room literally looks like a dungeon when you see it on the screen. It's not. It's a lovely room. I have some beautiful artwork here on the right. I have a lovely, I wonder if I can show you actually. Can I get this? Look, see, all right, there's plants. There's some lovely vases. But of course, you get the view that looks like it's a dungeon. Sorry, it is a much nicer room than it looks like. All right, so yes, you can definitely hear me. That is amazing. I'm going to say hi to a few people. It usually takes everybody a couple of minutes just to arrive. I was trying to get my banana in before you all arrived, but my timing today was shocking. I was with a candidate a few minutes ago and so I'm starving. So if you see me gnawing on my fist, you'll know why. Right. So I'm going to say hi to a few people. So we have a man from South 128. Hello, a man from South 128. Thank you for joining. Where is South 128 exactly located? I would love to know that. We've got Ken from California. Ken, you've been here before, haven't you? Because you know I like to know where people are from. So lovely California. I'm so jealous. I am freezing here in the UK. It's not that cold, but I am absolutely freezing. Luckily, my nose doesn't look too red on today's video, but usually my nose looks like Rudolph. Right, how else do we have? We have Suzanne. Hello, it's very good to see you too. Thank you for joining. Maya. Hey, Maya, how are you doing? Lovely to have you here. We've got Lyndon Lynn. Hey, Lyndon. I love a bit of alliteration. I always see, if you didn't know this, my name is not actually Gigi. My name is Gail Gallagher. Gallagher being my married name. When I married my husband 20 years ago in April, it will be my 20-year anniversary in April. I know I don't look old enough. I became Gallagher and he started calling me Gigi. And since then, I've been Gigi. So I love a bit of alliteration. Whoops, my camera just fell there. Sorry about that. Is that better? Oh, no. There we go. Yes, I love a bit of alliteration. So Lyndon Lynn, love it. Right. Who else have we got? We've got Reese B. Hey, Reese, how are you doing? Please do let me know where you are coming in from. It's my favorite bit about going on YouTube is finding out where everybody is from. So yeah, please do tell me. Okay. Oh, Reese, you've got some good news. I'm excited. I'll bring that up in a minute. Jonathan York from Seattle. I love Seattle. Obviously, I got to spend quite a bit of time in Seattle with my Amazon career. What a great little city it is. Oh, gel, as they say. We've got Jackie. Hey, Jackie, you made it. Lovely to see you. I got my makeup on now. Don't I look much better? And then we've got Maya's from London. Up the Brits, Maya. And then a man from South 127 is from Alberta, Canada. Nice. And we've got Huiel from Atlanta. Cool, Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, one of my favorite TV shows, The Resident, is based in Atlanta, Georgia. I'd love to go there. I'm sure it's not like the hospital is there, but very cool series if you don't know it. So it's on Netflix. Sorry, I know this is an Amazon show. It's on Netflix. Oh, no, it's not. It's on Disney. Even worse. I'm a bit of a TV streaming service loose woman. My loyalties go wherever the good content is. Okay, and Rowan from Rochester. Very cool name, Rowan. Oh, I've got Eunice from Madrid. Hola, ¿qué tal? Right, why don't we get going? We've got a bunch of people here now, so we'll just get started. Right. In case you didn't already know, which I'm sure you do, I am Gigi. I was a senior leader and most usefully for you all, a bar raiser at Amazon for many years. the big difference that you'll find between me and all of the other randomos that you'll find on YouTube when it comes to Amazon interview preparation content is I think I'm the only bar raiser. I might be wrong, but I think I'm the only bar raiser. And the difference is when you are a normal Amazon employee, part of your day job is to interview. It's a very big part of your role. But if you're just kind of a normal Amazonian interviewing, you'll really only ever interview around your kind of job function and maybe with some colleagues in kind of adjacent job functions. If you are a hiring manager, same goes, really only your own job function or maybe some adjacent job functions. If you're a recruiter, you'll be hiring for recruiters. Obviously, they're always hiring for recruiters if you're a recruiter out there. Or you'll be hiring for your own specialty. So you'll be doing recruiter screens in your particular specialty, software development engineers, product managers, whatever it is, but you're very focused on a particular specialty. The difference with a bar raiser is you can interview on any type of role at all, any role at all, be it tech or non-tech. You have a specialty, but you can cross tech or non-tech, any job family, anywhere around the globe, any level. Right. So I have seen it all really as there is to see in terms of the Amazon interview process, because it's not one process. There are many, many different ways of navigating and going through the Amazon interview process journey. And I have seen it all. So I've hired hundreds of Amazonians and interviewed thousands of hours at Amazon. Whilst I was there, interviewing and bar raising, I could tell the difference between people who had had expert Amazon interview preparation and those that hadn't. They knew the buzzwords, they knew the leadership principles, they knew what to say, they knew how to say it. And I got curious, as any good Amazonian does, and identified that, at least at the time where I got started, if you wanted to get interview preparation support, you'd have to pay quite a lot of money. And I felt that was a little bit unfair. So I started my YouTube channel when I was at Amazon. And then when I left, I created my own Amazon Interview Preparation Academy, where I did digital courses to make it incredibly affordable and very scalable. And I will give you one of those as a freebie at the end of this session. So please do stay until the end of the session. What I do is I have my academy, I have my YouTube channel, I do lots of posting on LinkedIn, I also post on Twitter, all to really make my expertise as accessible to as many people as possible. And you are here to leverage that. So let's get going. The way this works is, if you haven't been here before, and if you haven't been here before, welcome to my home. I am delighted to have you here and invite you in. We will basically be going through your Q&A questions. You need to write them in the little questions thing on the right-hand side here, and I'll scroll through and try and pick ones and answer them for you. Couple of points to note. Please don't ask me, hi, Gigi, I've got an interview for a blah tomorrow. Any general tips? Yeah, sure. Many hours of general tips. It's all on my YouTube channel. So if you're just after general advice, please head to the YouTube channel first. Sometimes people will have very specific questions about very specific roles and the very specific nature of their process. I may not be able to answer them. There are thousands of different job families in Amazon, and no one person can know all the detail about all of them. But that said, I will do my very best. So please do start asking your questions along the right-hand side here, and I will start to pick them up. I apologize. I am back to wearing my spectacles again. If you were here last week, I did try it without my spectacles because I hate the reflection, but I ended up with a screaming headache. So you're just going to have to suck up the spectacles, I'm afraid. I quite like these ones. These are one of my favorite pair. I have quite a few pairs. Right. Let's get going. Where are we? So, oh, great. Maya, you've made it through your first round interview and you're on to the next round. Excellent. Congratulations. And we have Rese, who had his green light. I do remember us talking about green light last week, and you got offered the job. Yay. I love this bit where I get to congratulate people. Please, everybody, congratulate Rese. Welcome. Welcome. Well done. It's not an easy thing to land a job at Amazon. Congratulations. I hope you have a fantastic Amazon career, and don't forget me when you're on the inside. Let's keep going and see what questions we can get to. Oh, thank you. Rowan's given me a little gift. It's very sweet of you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Oh, so sweet. I love it when people say nice things. Who doesn't want to hear nice things about them? Right, so keep asking your questions because I can't see a ton of them here yet. Right, come on. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Ooh, Maya. So you've made it through the next round thanks to my video. You're welcome. And what is the difference between competence and technical based interview? You're due for both. And the interesting thing is that you are in a marketing role. Interesting. So, marketing roles don't often have technical or what I would call functional competencies tested. So, it's interesting that you have both. So, let me explain to you the difference. The language is a bit different to what I would use, but the concept will be the same, right? So competence means clearly your competence, your capability for something. There are two types of competence interviews in Amazon. The first is going to be your behavioral competence. So do you behave like a leader? How competent are you behaving like a leader? And this is obviously the leadership principle type questions that you'll get. So tell me about a time when something, something, something. So that's what I think you're talking about when you say competence. The second one is functional competence. So how capable are you in your functional area? Now, that's quite easy to kind of understand how that looks when you're talking about people who are SDEs, because they have to show that they can code, or solutions architects. They have to be able to show that they can design a solution, or maybe finance people. They have to show that they can build P&Ls or run SQL queries. When it comes to marketing, Maya, I'm not quite sure what you'll be tested on, because you and I both know that marketing is a huge range of types of technical skills, from predictive models and to research to PPC to direct mail. It's a huge range of things, brand. So quite exactly what you might face from a functional competency point of view, I couldn't say. What I would say to you, Maya, is you need to talk to your recruiter and get some sense of what type of functional competency spaces they will be testing you for. Much, I'm sure, will become relatively clear, should be clear from your job description, or maybe indicative in your job description. But because you're talking to me about marketing, I could not predict what type of functional competencies they'd be testing, because marketing is such a broad skill set. So go and ask your recruiter. I hope that helps a bit. All right, so let's move on to our next question then. Oh, okay. Daniel, you passed the panel, but the recruiter told you the position for the role had been filled. Okay, that happens. And they will try and integrate you in. What do I think is the likelihood that you will ever get an offer? I can't give you statistics on that, Daniel. Daniela. I'm sorry if I'm probably ruined your name. I'm going to move on. Sorry. I can't tell you the odds. What effectively your experience has been is they considered you to be bar raising, but the role got filled. So they're going to see if they can try and find another role that you would be appropriate for. And you might do what our now Amazonian above managed to do, which is get themselves, Rese managed to do, which was get himself a green light meeting where he just needed to meet the new hiring manager for the new role and have a chat with them. And then in his case, managed to get the offer. The stats on how regularly someone who's considered bar raising but the role is filled gets another role to be able to pursue, I just don't have. I'm not sure that anybody would have that. My suggestion is don't wait for your recruiter to try and find you a space. Look for other internship programs that are around in Amazon and try and apply for them. I can't tell you what your odds are. I wish I could, but you've already proven that you're bar raising. So, in theory, if you could find yourself another spot, your odds are quite good, but you would have to find yourself or be found another spot. Okay, I'm sorry I couldn't be more specific than that. Okay. Oh, okay. Hey, Ben from California, you're interviewing for a senior product manager tech role. You passed the phone interview and moving on to the loop. Will you get a system design question during the loop? That's a really interesting question, because actually I've worked with a couple of PMTs, product managers tech, not program managers tech, and one of them did get some technical competency testing. Whether it was system design, I'm not sure, and the other didn't. So my suggestion to you, Benjamin, is you've got to ask your recruiter. As I said, different teams run different processes. You'd be surprised what the level of variation is. So Benjamin, please just ask your recruiter and get clarity from them. Okay. Ken, okay. Couple of quick questions. What's BPS? Beats per second. Heartbeats per second. That's BPS. I have no idea what BPS means in the context in which you're explaining it. Sorry, there are bazillions of acronyms that fly around Amazon, so don't know. Is it brief phone screen? The BPS, PS, I guess could stand for phone screen, but I don't know what B would be. Also, what's a pod? Is it something like a loop? Yes, a pod is exactly like a loop. It's kind of a terminology used by the operations teams that isn't really replicated anywhere else in Amazon. It's basically a group of people, a pod, that go through the loop/interview process together. So that's what a pod is. Okay. Oh, right, Maya. It said that your last round was both. However, they only asked you about leadership examples. That's to my point, Maya, about marketing. I've not really ever heard of functional competencies being tested in marketing. Sometimes your recruiters are just using the wrong template when they email you, because of course all their emails are templated from a recruiter standpoint. So I would say this to everyone, but check with your recruiter. If you have any doubts, want clarification on anything, check with your recruiter. I would be surprised if there was functional competency testing in marketing. Okay. 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 Rowan, with limited experience, only 2-3 years, okay, pretty junior, how would you map your examples to LPs? Okay. This might lead to repeat of situation, but not the rest. Is this bad? All right. So the way you map your experience to LPs is the same, whether you're 2 years out of school or 20 years out of school. The actual process of mapping them is the same. But I think your point at the heart of your message is, I might find myself repeating quite a lot, Gigi, and I'm concerned about that. Should I be? So at your end of the spectrum, where you've only got 2 or 3 years of experience, no, I would say to you, do not be overly concerned about repeating. It is expected. You don't have a lot of career history to pull from. If you're someone like me and you're ancient and you've been working for like 24 years, that's a very different kettle of fish. So, you just need to find the right example for the question. And if it means you end up repeating, then it's not the end of the world. I would say, and this is just my particular point of view, other people may say differently, but I would say for an L5, which is the level I think that you would be interviewing for, maybe even an L4, depending on the role, you could comfortably find yourself repeating the same thing 5 times, 6 times across an interview, because you'll find yourself answering a lot of questions because your examples won't be complex. And I, as a bar raiser, would not be overly worried. I would not be saying the same thing to you if you were headed in for an L8 director level role. Okay, I hope that helps, Rowan. Don't worry. Okay. Moving on then. Okay. So Jonathan, I'm just going to do this quickly, right? So you've gotten inclined, but they said they needed approval for the degree plan you're currently finishing, right? And then you want to know how likely is it that the offer will not follow soon. This is another one where I'm sorry, I don't have the data. I can't give you stats. This type of data just is not aggregated or is not available at kind of a group level. So I don't know. And again, ask your recruiter. They're going to be the best person with the best perspective at this level of specificity. Sorry, I couldn't answer it for you. Okay. All right, Maya, we're back with you again. No, if it requires fluency in 3 languages, I would suggest to prove your language out, they will do your interview in different languages. So you'll either have an interview that's a mix of both English, and I assume English is one of them, and the other language, or sometimes what they do is they dedicate an entire interview to being in the languages that you need to do. So again, that's not really technical though, is it? Still don't really know. Speak to your recruiter. Okay, Tara is here from Manchester. Gotta love Manchester. That's a great city. Ah, okay. Yes. Valerie? Would that be Valerie? Anyway, so are you supposed to ask questions at the end of each interview? Yes, absolutely ask questions at the end of each interview. So the questions that you ask at the end of an interview are not meant to be used as evidence to decide whether you are raising the bar or not. However, if you don't ask questions at the end of the interview, that is a red flag, because Amazon is a business where, in order to make a decision, people gather large amounts of data. Getting a job at Amazon, or at least being offered a job, requires you to make a decision. And if you haven't gathered quite a lot of data in order to set yourself up well to make that decision, I, as a bar raiser, would be a little bit concerned that you don't really behave like an Amazonian. So I tell everyone, yes, be prepared to ask questions at the end of your interview. The types of questions you should ask are the types of questions that you actually need the answer to. So don't ask questions that you put in just because you want to sound really smart. It doesn't matter, because those questions aren't used to assess you. Use the opportunity to ask the questions that you would need to know to make a decision as to whether you want to work at Amazon, whether you want to work with that line manager, whether you want to work with that team, whether you want to work with that type of product. So focus on the person that you're talking to. If it's the hiring manager, ask questions that you would want to know of your boss. What's your working style? How do you encourage your team members' personal development? If you're working with a peer, how friendly are the team? What's the social space like? If you're talking to a bar raiser, more general questions, like if you know they are the bar raiser anyway, what do you like about Amazon? What surprises you about Amazon? Those types of things would be some of my suggestions. I do have a video, don't I? I have a fabulous video, actually. I've just remembered. I have a really good video that I'm very proud of on my YouTube channel that specifically dives into my favorite types of questions that have been asked of me or that I ask. So go and check that video out. I think you will find that one very enlightening. Oh, okay. So you're going to a risk management interview. You have doubts about your fluency. Do they care about the language much? Yes, they do. You have to be able to converse in English. It is the universal language of Amazon. Everybody in Amazon can expect to be interacting with international partners. By international, I mean outside of your own borders, and therefore there needs to be a common language, and that common language is English. So you do need to be able to speak coherently in English. You don't need to be 100% fluent, but you do need to be comprehensible by your colleagues. But they will test that in your interview process at some point. Okay, moving on then. Oh, a man from South 12 has given me a little gift as well. Thank you. It's very kind. Oh, isn't that sweet? I appreciate that. No, genuinely, I do. I know I put a lot of effort into this for you, and I do really appreciate when you show your appreciation back. So thank you, genuinely. Okay, moving on then. Okay, you've passed your phone screen. Okay, and you're onto the loop. Do I have any advice on how to best answer the questions that seem to have 4 or 5 questions within it? You've noticed that this is quite common. 4 or 5 would be a lot to be within one question, but you might get a question that says, tell me about a time where you had to make a decision in a very short period of time. What compromises did you make? And what compromises did you make, and why did you make a decision to make those compromises, right? That's not multiple questions. That's one question. Tell me about a time where you had to make a decision in a short time period. And then what they have done is key marked for you things that they really want to make sure that you mention in your story. So please, when you tell me about that time, make sure you mention the compromises that you had to make. So how I suggest you do it is write down the question, which anyone that knows my channel at all will know that's like the most important thing that I talk about repeatedly. Write down the question, make sure you understand what the heart of the question is about, telling them about a time where you had to make a decision under a short period of time, right? So it's decision, short amount of time. And then those extra things are just things that you need to make sure that you reference when you're talking about your actions. So if you've written down the question, just keep checking back on the question and make sure that you have covered off the specifics that they asked you and just tick them. Right? If you've written it down, tick when you've actually spoken about the compromises that you had to make, and then look at the next thing that they asked you as part of that overall question. But there will never be 4 or 5 questions within it. What you might get is follow-up questions where they say, oh, that's interesting. Well, can I ask you blah, blah, blah? You just have to answer the questions. There's no kind of strategy around that. Someone's curious about something that you've said, or you haven't been quite clear enough in what you've said, and they want to understand more. So you just need to answer that question and pay attention to that follow-up question. If someone's asked you a follow-up question, it's genuinely because maybe you haven't been clear, you aren't giving them the right information, or you've tapped into a little vein of something that they're really interested in. So just listen to what they're asking and ask yourself before you answer it, why is this person asking me this follow-up question? And adapt the rest of your example according to your interpretation of that. I hope that helps. Interesting. So in a product program manager interview, can you share your screen and show a UX UI design, just one image to the interviewer, just to make it easy for them to understand the problem? Well, I wouldn't say no, you absolutely can't, but I think that you shouldn't have to, because part of the challenge is, can you clearly communicate something to somebody when you're trying to explain it? And really, in an ideal world, you should be able to create a coherent enough narrative that you don't need pictures to explain the story. And bear in mind, the questions will be, at least on the behavioral side of things, they're asking about how did you behave? They're not asking about the technical problem. They just need some context of the technical problem to set up how you behave. So if you're talking about behavioral competencies, which is, I don't know, tell me about the most innovative thing that you've created and why do you think it was the most innovative thing you've ever done? You don't really need to draw a diagram to explain to them the technical nature of the innovation, because that's not the point. The point of the innovation is, how are you thinking? How do you come up with your ideas? Are you making sure that your innovations have long-term relevance and can be valuable for the customer long-term? Where are you getting your ideas from? Are you always looking for ideas and trying to innovate on different things? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking to understand the technical nature of the innovation. But if it's functional competencies, then I would suspect that they would pre-provide all of the tools that you needed anyway in order to be able to do technical drawings, etc. But as a product and program manager, I don't think you would have that type of functional competency tests, and therefore my broad advice would be no. I don't think that that would be useful, because what they're after is your behaviors, not your technical solution or the technical challenge. You need to be able to articulate it. Okay. Moving on then. Do I encourage giving new examples if they ask you very similar questions? Yes, is my simple answer to that one. I always suggest that you try and give new examples if you possibly can. If you can't and you have to repeat something, please make sure that you repeat it for a very different type of question, ergo different leadership principle. Okie dokie. Moving on then. Yeah, quick one here then. Rekka, have I got that right? I hope so. Apologies if I brutalized your name. Please apologize to your parents for me. You have a loop scheduled in the next week, non-tech, cool. if you have to give an intro to all of them separately, or intro will be done with all of them together. No, no one is ever in a big room together or on one call together. It's just a series of one-on-one conversations. I'd say like this one, but clearly you're mute. They're just a series of one-on-ones. So you do one one-on-one that ends, another one-on-one that ends, another one-on-one that ends. So yes, you will probably get the same slightly moronic, tell me about yourself, why Amazon? I'll say slightly moronic. They're dreadful questions, but anyway, from everybody in your loop. But they're warm-up questions. By the time you get to loop, they really just are to kind of try and ease you into the situation. It's totally weird just getting on a video and talking to someone about your life story who you've never met before. So that's why those questions exist at the beginning of loop. But, you know, they're just a hello, how are you type, quite intended type thing. They won't say hello, how are you, but you know what I mean. Okay. Moving on. Right, Sean, I can't answer that question because I don't know the specifics of every single role in the thousands of different roles that there are in Amazon in terms of the exact questions they're going to ask you. So sorry, can't answer the functional questions that you can expect from a CDA role. Sorry. Oh, yes. Yes, this is interesting. Rokian, hello. So someone was willing to refer you. Should you withdraw your application and let your friend refer me? Is there any downside to withdrawing your application? I don't think so, technically. It kind of depends how far down the process you are. If you've already made it to speak to the hiring manager, then it's a complete waste of time withdrawing your application, because the only point of a referral is to get you to, sorry, I didn't mean speaking to hiring manager. The only point of a referral is to get your resume to the hiring manager. Once your resume is with the hiring manager, it makes no difference whether someone referred you or whether the recruiter passed your resume through. So if you have not yet got that far and your application is still showing as under consideration, I don't see any major issue with you withdrawing your application and getting someone to refer you. It should work and you should get to the hiring manager's desk as far as your resume is concerned. But at that point, all the benefit is gone. And they are not obliged to interview you in any way. Okay, hope that helps. Oh, this is a good one from Ken. Yeah, I like this question, Ken. Thank you for this one. Do the results from the online assessment follow you through the application process? No, it's a one and done. The whole point of the online assessment is to filter out people who are never going to be able to raise the bar. That's what the online assessment is for. So people who ace the online assessment get through, people who scrape through the online assessment get through. There's no difference. It's a pass or a fail type process, depending on whether they've set the bar for the online assessment. So no, it doesn't follow you through at all. And does operations ask any technical questions at interviews or just behavioral? I would expect an ops role to just be behavioral. I don't think there are any functional competencies in terms of technical skills that are required. Some of the roles do require you to pass a HSL test, which is a basic mathematical test, but I'm not sure I'd call that a functional assessment necessarily. That's just testing your kind of basic maths, as we say here in the UK, but I decided to say math and try and be American. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, this is tricky, Trevor. Hello, Trevor. So you have your final round of interview. Yes, you are at Loop for an SDE1. Okay. Is it all right to not have an example for every LP, or should you have multiples? Okay, so as an SDE1, you will have you should be expecting a combined interview where there's functional and behavioral covered off. Because of that, you won't end up going through as many questions as maybe a marketer might who had 100% behavioral. So you don't probably need examples for all 16 LPs. What you really should do, Trevor, is go and check out my video on my YouTube channel around deconstructing the leadership principles and check out your job description, and check out your job description. One of the challenges with SD1 job descriptions is they are really bare bones. There's not a lot of insight in them as far as the leadership principles are concerned, but try and have a go at that. Maybe you'll have a good one. You should also speak to your recruiter and see if your recruiter will give you some hints on what the key leadership principles that are going to be tested are. So if you want to be super safe, yeah, sure, try and prepare. You can discard as an SDE. While my advice would be discard strive to be Earth's best employer, discard success and scale bring broad responsibility, discard hide and develop the best, discard frugality. I would definitely say bin those 4. I'm not going to go any further than that. Those are the obvious ones to bin, and then I get into a bit risky territory if I start guessing others. But those I would say you could definitely lose. Do try and find out from your recruiter and from a job description deep dive for yourself if you can identify the other leadership principles, and then you at least don't have to prepare for 16. You probably, I would say, will only get tested on about 6 would be my guess. I hope that helps. Yeah. Okay. Could I run through what the panel interview is like and what to expect? Okay. So a panel interview is exactly the same as all of the other interviews you have. It's no different in format. It's a one-to-one interview with either the hiring manager, a peer, someone from another team that works closely with your team, and the bar raiser. And it's just a one-on-one interview, exactly the same format as the interviews that you've had already, if you've already had one. Some people jump straight from the online assessment to the loop, in which case you haven't had one yet. The basic format that you should expect is a bit of introductory conversation and tell me about yourself, why Amazon type stuff. Maybe walk me through your resume if this is the first time you've ever met anybody. I hope they don't do that, because I damn well hate that question. And then into the structure of your interview, which might be behavioral competencies and functional competencies, depending on whether you're in a tech or a non-tech role, or it might just be the behavioral, and then it'll be question time at the end. And it's as simple as that. What would be the probability of success? That is the million-dollar question. So I do not have very hard data on this. Again, I don't believe that data is assessed anywhere in particular, or if it is, it's done at a very central level and not published to the broader organization. So all I can tell you is based on my experience and the experience of the people that I've worked with and the recruiters that I've worked with. So probability in a higher offer at Loop runs somewhere between 30% and 50%. Now, it depends massively on the type of role as to where it falls in that spectrum, but at best, 50-50 are your odds. At worst, 70-30. Paperwork process starts after the panel. No, paperwork process starts after you accept an offer. Right? You have to accept an offer first, and then once an offer is accepted, then it kicks off all of the paperwork process. Hope that helps, Pro Gamer. Moving on then. Where are we for time? Oh, right. Okay. Right. I might have to pick up the pace. Oh my God, there's loads of questions here. Right. So before I go on any further, I have a request from you. So I put in lots of effort for you, as I'm sure you well know. And in return, I do need your help. In order for my content to surface to you and other candidates who need good quality advice on Amazon interview preparation, because there's a damn load of rubbish on YouTube as far as I'm concerned, my content needs some positive engagement signals. And those positive engagement signals are either a thumbs up on a video or a comment. So I'm going to ask you to very quickly now give me a thumbs up on this video. But I also want to ask you, if you watch any of my content, any of it at all, please at least spend a millisecond clicking the thumbs up button. And if you can, I'd just love to hear from you. So any comment that's thanks Gigi, hi Gigi, or if you have a further question, put it into YouTube comments and I will always respond. But please, if you could do that in return for my efforts for you, I would be very grateful. So I'm going to just quickly give you a few seconds to go and click that thumbs up button. And whilst I do that, I have a little video for you. So 3, 2, 1, go click thumbs up now.
like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, I like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, like the stream, oh like the stream, oh like the stream, like the stream now, like the stream now, like the stream now, like the stream now.
Thank you. So hopefully you click the thumbs up. If you didn't, why would you not do that for me? Anyway, I hope you kind of found the video not too insane. You know, it amused me when I created it. Okay, so let's move on to going back to your questions. What I will say is I'm not going to get through all of these questions now by the end of the session. There are so many. So if you really need me to answer your question, I have got Super Chat activated on the stream. So you can choose to do a Super Chat and that will prioritize your question in the list, because I don't think I'm going to make it through all of them today, but I am going to try and speed up. So okay, I'm going to jump that one. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, Shivam again. So when explaining a project, is it advisable to say I was working with 2 teams and the problem was X, Y, or can you name the teams as well? Only if it's important for context, right? If what those teams do is important for the story and it's helpful for the interviewer to understand the names of those teams, because then they can imagine what they do in the organizational structure, then add them. If it's irrelevant who the teams were and it's just 2 groups of people that you needed to get aligned on something that doesn't make a difference what the team were working on, what the team was, don't bother mentioning it. Only mention content that is useful, that is either contextual or speaks to the behaviors. Okay. Okay. Right. I am going to do this one because this is a hot topic. So if you didn't know already, Amazon announced last week, I think it was, that they had raised the base pay cap from $160,000 to $350,000. Now, obviously, that's in the US, but there will be caps in all of the other countries around the globe. I do not know what those caps are, but I think the best proxy is just to try the exchange rate for your locale, and you can probably assume that your cap is around there. Right. What it is not is an increase in compensation. Right? They have not increased the total compensation that they are willing to pay candidates. The ranges have not changed, right? What they have changed is the mix of how they pay that compensation. So the ranges still stay the same, but the mix will change. So in the past, if you were being offered a compensation of $400,000, and in the past, they would have had to cap that at $160,000 on base. Then they would choose how much to spread the gap between the 160 and the 400, which we can do quick maths, is 240,000 between RSUs and sign-on bonus, right? Now, what they're saying is someone that's being paid $400,000, if they wanted to, they could go up to $350,000 base and then split the rest of the $50,000 between bonus and RSUs. There is no change in terms of the actual total compensation that they're offering. They are not increasing earnings or offers for anybody in Amazon or outside Amazon for that matter. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Lots of misunderstanding about what that was all about last week. I had an interesting debate on LinkedIn with some recruiters about that, because they also, some of them felt that it was quite misleading as well. Okay. Let's move on. Oh, love this. Love this. Right. I love it when people ask this question because it lets me get on my soapbox. So, what are the most common questions asked by a bar raiser for senior sales roles? There are no most common questions asked by anybody for anything, right? Everybody gets to choose the question that they want to ask. They're assigned a leadership principle and they get to pick which question they want to ask from the Amazon interview question bank, or if they make one up, because they can make one up. The bar raiser is no different. They don't get assigned particular leadership principles. It's just given to them at random or based on a particular request from the hiring manager. And they get to pick from the 9 to 15 different questions, or if they want to make them up themselves, from the Amazon interview question bank for their leadership principle, which ones they want to ask. And usually we all gravitate towards our favorite questions, because trust me, every Amazon interviewer has a favorite question for a particular leadership principle. So there is no special strategy for answering bar raiser questions. There are no special leadership principles that they will be asking you. There are no special questions that they will be asking you. There is nothing that they are looking for that is any different from any other interviewer who is interviewing you in your Amazon interview process. Anybody that says otherwise is either lying because they're trying to use your anxiety to sell something, or they don't understand how it all works on the inside. So trust me, there is nothing special that you can do. There is nothing particular that you can prepare. That's it. And if they say otherwise, send them to me. I say this, I think, in every single session, and I am yet to have anybody appear in front of me and say, Gigi, one of my candidates told me that you told them I was wrong and I want to discuss it with you. They don't do that. Why? Let's see. Right. So moving on then. Oh, gosh, that's shocking. Okay. This is a bit shocking. So you had your loop 2 weeks ago. 2 of the interviewers. Oh, I thought you said they didn't turn on their video. Right. I thought I read they didn't turn up. And I was like, oh, my goodness, they didn't show up. But no, they didn't turn on the videos. All right. Fair enough. It's been 7 days after your loop and no work from the recruiter. Okay. Right. This is less exciting than I thought it was. Sorry. I thought you were telling me that they didn't show up. Should you consider it as a rejection? Just move on. No, it's like only 5 working days. Which is the SLA for your loop. And this is now Monday. So if you're telling me it was 7 days ago, you would have had your interview on Monday last week. 5 working days would have been Friday, and you probably would be expecting to hear today or tomorrow if they were going to achieve the SLA. Very, very frequently these days, they're not even achieving the SLA. So I would say absolutely not. You have no reason to believe that you are going to get rejected at this stage. I got all excited about that one and then discovered I wasn't reading it properly. Shame on me. Okay, loads more questions, and there's no way I'm getting through them in the next 10 minutes. So again, if it's really important and you really want my answer, you can have a go at using the super chat. What else do we have? I'm going to jump over a ton, so I'm really sorry if I miss yours. I'm going to eyeball very quickly. Okay. Hey, you've been invited to the final interview for an SDE2, but you're not well versed on systems design. Should you clarify this? I think it's important. If you know you're weak on systems design, you are going to get systems design as an SDE2. There's no question in my mind. So yes, you should definitely talk to your recruiter about that. I do know a very good system design course. I don't get any money for it, by the way. It's just one that many of my SDE candidates have recommended to me, which I will happily recommend to you if you want to contact me offline. But it depends when your interview is, because you may not have enough time. But yeah, I would be honest up front if you think that you're not strong on the systems design side, because then at least the recruiter can prep the interviewer that that's the case. Okay. I'm going to keep going, see if I can find a few. All right, I'm going to do this one. Any good way of providing an example on how you've dealt with conflict in a team? What are the red flags? Okay, well, the red flags are obvious ones. Right? A man from South 128, being lacking compassion, lacking empathy, not trying to understand where the difference in opinions are coming from, not spending time gathering data in order to be able to try and resolve that. Those are all being an arse, being obnoxious. Those are all the things that are red flags. You got to treat those types of examples in exactly the same way that you would treat resolving a conflict in your home. If you wanted a happy home and you had a conflict with someone you lived with, what would you do? Like, how would you treat them? You treat them with respect. You try and understand where they were coming from. You would show some empathy. If you were trying to present a counter case, you would try and make sure that your counter case included facts rather than just your emotional response. All of those things. That's how you should respond to dealing with conflict. Okay, moving on. All right, yeah. Hey, Karan, how are you? You're having a hard time remembering so many stories. Yes, many people do. And mapping them to an LP, well, that's a different point. Your interview's in 3 weeks. How to take it easy? I'm not really sure what that question is. It's not about stories, but remembering it. Okay, I'm not quite sure what you're saying to me, but I'll tell you what I want to tell you, which is the Amazon interview is not a memory test, right? They're not trying to test your recall. What they're trying to do is test that you are able to demonstrate bar raising behaviors from the basis of the leadership principles. So in my opinion, and the opinion of most interviewers in Amazon, it's okay to have some light notes with you so that you don't have to memorize everything. But when I say light notes, they really do need to be light notes. So I have some good tips actually on my most recent videos. I have a series of 3 that I just released, which are my top tips. So go back and check that out. There are a couple of tips in there around how to use memory aids when it comes to your interview process so that you stay on track and you remember your metrics. So please go check out that video. That will really help you, Karan. Okay. Oh, yes. LP's covered in phone string can still come up in loop interviews. Is it fine to repeat in that case? So any smart hiring manager front loads the most important leadership principles to early on in the flow. Because if they're critical, non-negotiable leadership principles that someone must raise the bar in, you would rather know if they're going to fail to do that earlier on in the process so that you haven't wasted like 15 hours of Amazon interviewers' time discovering that at loop. So I would suggest that absolutely you should expect any leadership principles to come that came up in the early sessions to come up again in loop. And absolutely you should have different examples for them because they are the most important leadership principles. So your interviewer and your hiring manager and your bar raiser are going to want evidence that you consistently behave in a bar raising fashion for those leadership principles. So absolutely, you should come up with different examples for those leadership principles so they can be confident that you consistently perform at a high level for those leadership principles. Okay, moving on then. Only got 6 minutes left. So once again, if you would like your question answered, you need to bang away on a super sticker. Moving on. Ah, Sean, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, super sticker, I meant super chat. You need to super chat if you want to make sure that your question gets elevated. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Rowan. I really appreciate it. It's very kind. Oh, Sumesh. Sumesh is here. Hi. It's good to see you again. I'm sorry, everyone. I get so excited when I see people come back. Sumesh has been here for, it's like months, isn't it? You've been coming to my sessions. It genuinely feels like you're coming into my home. And when I see people come back, I kind of feel like you're my friends and you're part of my community. So I'm sorry, I probably got a little bit excited for the rest of you, thinking of that crazy woman. But I'm really excited to see you, Sumesh. Thank you so much for coming back. It's great to see you. Okay, moving on then. What else do we have? Okay, yeah, Ken, no, I don't know what BPS is. Sorry. Okay, what other questions do we have? Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, Valerie, again, you ask good questions, don't you? So your coordinator offered to split a loop into 2 days. Do I think it makes sense or better to pass all in a single day? Totally up to you. It makes no difference to Amazon. It's all about whether you are one of those people that just gets into the zone, gets into the moment and does better that way. I'm one of those people. Or whether you're someone who would find it quite challenging and it's a bit exhausting. It is exhausting and you want to break it up across 2 days. Makes no difference to Amazon. Each interviewer is not allowed to talk to any of the other interviewers about you when they've interviewed you until they know that person has actually placed their vote in the system. Right. So once you go into the system, you put in all of your notes and then you place your vote as to whether you would be inclined or not inclined. You get to see who else has already placed their vote. Then you know who you can speak to about it and who you can't speak to about it. So it makes no difference to Amazon whatsoever, whether you do it on 1 day or on 2 days. So you need to decide what works best for you. I hope that helps. Didn't have screen recruited directly. Yeah. Hey, oh, that's cool hair. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, I'm very jealous. Right. I probably shouldn't say that's probably not very appropriate to note people's appearance, but it just looked cool. All right. So you're going for a TPM role. You didn't have a screening call with a recruiter. You went straight to a TPM. Recruiter called the same day before sharing some tips. Do I know why? Because as I said at the beginning of this whole session, every team does it differently. There's huge variation in the way different teams run it. So it just so happens that your team decided that they don't want to be doing recruiter screening calls and therefore you didn't have one. There are other teams that will go full on with recruiter screens, phone screen 1, phone screen 2, loop, the whole shaboodle kitchen sink. It's not specific to you, more specific to your team. Hope that helps. Right. What else do we have here? I did jump a few and I'm now at the bottom. So I'm going to go back and see if I can find any. Oh, PK. This is so funny. This has just amused me. I'm sorry. It's probably not useful for many of you, but just started following me, already feel like you've known me for a while. It's so strange because I know I put a lot of my personality into my videos. I don't script them. I just kind of know what I want to say and I say it off the cuff, which means I make so many bloopers. And anyway, so there's a lot of me I know in my content. So you all get to know me really well. You know, I've got kids, you know, I've got a husband, you know where I live, probably know some of my weird kind of phobias. So you get to know me really well, but of course I have no idea who you are. And when I meet candidates on my coaching sessions, they always say this to me. It's like, oh, I feel like I know you because you've all spent so much time with me. There's hours of my content there on YouTube. And it's so funny because of course I don't know who they are, no relationship with them at all. Or people send me emails, you know, oh, I just want to ask, blah, 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 blah. No introduction, no, nothing. But I think it's because they feel they know me. I'm kind of a friend because I just talk. Whereas it makes me laugh so much, just these random emails going, oh, I just wanted to check, blah, blah, blah. Like, who are you? Anyway, sorry, PK, that amused me. Thank you very much. I'm glad you've joined and I really hope you find it all helpful. Okay, I will do one more question because, sorry, I digressed massively there. I will answer your question, PK, because otherwise that would be rude. You've got a phone interview and try to look for technical questions for finance roles. What would you suggest ones don't? I don't think you'll really get technical questions for finance. I've never heard of, certainly any of my candidates coming back to me and telling me that they were asked functional competency questions. People that do tax, yes, they are asked much more practical functional stuff because obviously there's a whole lot of kind of tax requirements in terms of you understand the way tax works. But for general finance roles, I've not really heard of anyone being asked functional competencies. You are quite often tested with an SQL challenge or building some kind of a model, but actual functional competency questions, I don't think I've heard coming out of finance. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm going to go for one more question and then I'm going to give you the best freebie. So don't go. Seriously, don't go. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just scrolling to see if I can come up with something that I think would be useful for as many people as possible. There's some quite specific questions here, which I am not going to do. Oh, okay. Yeah. This should be interesting. Any examples on ambiguity questions? How bizarre can they be? Any question banks available out there to better prepare, especially for tech roles? Okay, so ambiguity is just around when something isn't clear, right? So how bizarre can they be? I mean, as long as it's like not illegal or rude, you can make them as bizarre as you want. But the whole point isn't like to be able to articulate the craziest, most insane situation you've ever been in. It's to articulate a time where people just aren't clear what's going on. Maybe they don't understand timings. Maybe they don't understand the solution. Maybe they don't understand the technology. Maybe they don't understand who owns what and who's responsible for what. They're trying to understand in a world where perhaps it isn't clear and there isn't an established SOP or blueprint or way of working, that you as a leader are able to come in and pull it all together and create that clarity. So make it as bizarre as you want, but it doesn't need to be bizarre in order to kind of meet the criteria I use in the broader sense of the term of what is ambiguous. Any question banks out there to prepare for tech roles? Again, the technical side, for tech roles, you will still be asked the behavioral competencies. So if you want to go to my website, which is the AmazonInterviewWiz.com, and go to my blog, you will find a blog there about the AIQB, which doesn't have the whole AIQB in that because I'm not allowed to do that, but it does have a collection of questions that I have pulled from many different sources around the web, got rid of all of the crud and left the questions that are very likely to be appropriate Amazon interview questions. Then when it comes to the actual tech side of things, it depends what tech you're in. Are you a SDE? Are you an SDM? Are you a solutions architect? Are you a hardware infrastructure manager? It completely depends. So I can't really ask that second part of your question. Okay, so I think we are now at time. So as I said, this is definitely the best freebie you're going to get on YouTube for Amazon interview preparation. And I'm serious about that. And I don't blow my own whistle very often because I'm British and we're far too polite for that. So go to the AmazonInterviewWizAcademy.com. There you will find a free example of one of my leadership principle masterclasses, and it's Customer Obsession. In that, you will find out the 4 key facets to customer obsession that will mean that you will be able to find examples from your career history that will address the questions that will be asked for you if you're asked a customer obsession question. It tells you pretty much exactly what the interviewer is looking for in your answer. And there's a mock interview there of me interviewing me, different makeup and hair. It's all very dramatic. So you can see how it all comes together finally in the interview. Obviously, I give it to you because I want you to love my content. I work very hard creating it. And obviously, I want you to invest in more. But even if you don't, I chose customer obsession because you all know it's the most important leadership principle at Amazon, and you'll all get asked it at some point if you make it way through to loop. So like if I was buying you a birthday present, I want to buy something and spend my money on something I know you will love and you will get value from. So that's why if I'm going to give away something for free, I'm going to give that one away to you. So please do go check it out. There's genuinely no reason not to go and claim that. I don't chase you with marketing and try and upsell you. None of that. Don't do that now. So never did it, but definitely won't be doing it to you tonight. So please just go grab it. It's totally free. And I really hope you like it. I spent 700 hours creating my academy. So the more people actually see it, the better it makes me about the investment of my time. So on that note, I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to go and get my dinner. Thank you very much for joining today. It's such a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Samesh. Oh, we've got Jazir L here as well. Oh, loads of people coming back. Thank you for joining. Be safe. Look after yourselves. The world continues to be insane. And please, if you do watch my videos, give them a thumbs up. Give me a little comment. If you have questions and I couldn't get to them today, please do just put a comment on YouTube and I will attempt to get back to you in about 48 hours is my usual turnaround. So thank you very much. Be safe, and I will see you Monday next week. Take care. Bye-bye.